Formula One is about to become less about bravery and far more about discipline. And that's exactly why the 2026 rules should quietly terrify most of the grid, except one driver. While fans argue about sound, weight, and whether the sport is losing its soul, something far more decisive is being rewritten in the background: how drivers are allowed to use power. In 2026, raw aggression will no longer be a shortcut to lap time. Overdriving won't just cost tyres, but it will drain performance itself. And instinct alone won't save anyone anymore. Here's the uncomfortable truth most fans still haven't processed. The 2026 energy management rules don't just change the cars, they expose drivers. And the driver whose entire career has been built around control, restraint, and efficiency under pressure is Max Verstappen. Within the first few laps of this new era, something becomes clear. The rules reward exactly the kind of driving most fans mistakenly interpret as not pushing. And that's why this reset could quietly tilt the balance of power all over again. Strip away the marketing language and sustainability slogans, and what's left is brutally simple. The 2026 power unit isn't about being greener. It's about control. For the first time in modern Formula One, roughly half of the car's total power output comes from electrical deployment. Not as a bonus, not as a safety net, as a core requirement. That alone changes the way drivers have to think. Energy harvesting and deployment are no longer passive background processes. They become corner-by-corner decisions. Every aggressive throttle spike drains usable energy. Every poorly timed push compromises the next straight. Every small mistake compounds over a lap, then over a stint. As suddenly, the driver who looks fastest on onboard isn't necessarily the one setting the best lap time. And here's the question nobody likes asking out loud: how many drivers on today's grid are actually comfortable not using everything they have all the time? Now contrast that with Verstappen. Max doesn't drive to look spectacular. He drives to arrive fast. His telemetry has consistently shown smoother throttle application, faster rear axle stabilization, and fewer corrective steering inputs, especially in low grip or transitional phases. That's not style. That's energy preservation. Most fans assume smoothness means caution. In 2026, smoothness means lap time. And here's where the political layer enters the picture. The rules were written by the FIA with a very specific intention: reduce peak speeds, increase driver workload, and limit domination through brute force deployment. But there's an unintended consequence buried inside that logic. These rules reward drivers who can feel when the car is about to cross the efficiency threshold and back off before the data tells them to. Verstappen has been doing that for years. If you're still watching at this point, you already know this isn't surface-level analysis. This is the uncomfortable layer of Formula One, where margins, politics, and psychology decide outcomes more than horsepower. People who enjoy this level of detail usually don't need convincing to stay. And here's the real debate that splits paddocks and fan bases alike. Does Formula One reward the fastest drivers or the smartest ones under constraint? Because in 2026, those two things stop being the same. The removal of the MGU-H brings partial turbo lag back into the equation. Harvesting becomes situational instead of constant. Deployment zones become tactical weapons instead of flat-out sprints. And here's the contradiction teams rarely admit publicly. You can design the most advanced power unit in the world, but if your driver can't manage it intuitively, you bleed lap time everywhere. This is why Verstappen's feedback has always terrified engineers and helped them at the same time. He doesn't describe sensations, he describes consequences. Not "the rear feels loose, but this costs me energy release 2 corners later." That cause and effect thinking is rare. Most drivers react to energy loss. Max anticipates it. And when electrical deployment becomes half the performance equation, anticipation beats reaction every time. Now zoom out, because this is where the story flips. The 2026 reset isn't just a new chapter, it's a filter. It filters out drivers who rely on peak moments, heroic braking, and visual aggression. It elevates drivers who can think 5 corners ahead while everyone else is fighting the present. That's what's at risk here. Careers won't end overnight, but reputations will shift fast. Drivers who looked fearless may suddenly look wasteful. Drivers who looked conservative may suddenly look untouchable. And Verstappen doesn't need to change who he is to survive this era. He's already driving the way the rules demand. That's the part most fans miss. This isn't about dominance returning, it's about compatibility, about alignment between regulation and instinct. And if that thought makes you uncomfortable, good. That means the reset is doing exactly what it was designed to do. If you want to keep following how this power shift unfolds, how drivers adapt or fail, and why some names will rise while others quietly fade, you already know where this story continues. The next piece of the puzzle is waiting, and it connects directly to what we've just uncovered.